Hi, I'm Coach Corey Wayne, and this is my video coaching newsletter. And the topic of today's newsletter is going to be 2 weeks later, my serial monkey branching ex already has a new boyfriend. Can you believe it? So this particular email is from a guy who I assume he's been probably following me for over 5 years at this point. He only read the book, 3% Man, twice. And so what's interesting is he says that his now ex-girlfriend monkey branch from every single guy she's ever dated. She's never been alone. In other words, when she knows the relationship is not going well and it doesn't look like it's going to work out, she starts talking to other guys and inviting their attention to line up a replacement. And when he met her, she was in a relationship with another guy, but at some point they continue talking, and she breaks up with the ex and then gets together with him like literally the same day, and then they hooked up. And so she did end the relationship with the ex, but obviously she lined up the new relationship with this particular guy, and I don't know what period of time it went through, but now he's in the same boat. He says everything was beautiful, was blissful for about 4 years. Then he got lazy and complacent, stopped dating and courting her. He started neglecting her, was only taking her out once or twice a month. She complained about it, and he didn't really listen. And then this guy, I guess, that she worked with or knew through work, but he's just a friend. You don't have to worry about him. Anyway, she breaks up with him, and literally 2 weeks later, he finds out now she's already dating and sleeping with this other guy. And so he's jealous about that, and he's really upset. But the reality is, he was warned in the book about this kind of behavior. Because if she does that to her ex to get together with you, it is just absolutely delusional to think that if you slack off, she won't do it to you. And the harsh reality, because I've been doing this almost 20 years at this point, is that even if you've been in a relationship with multiple decades with your wife or your girlfriend for that matter, they'll typically, on average, give a guy about 6 or 12 months to flounder around, to go through a rough patch. But if you don't get your act together and continue being the leader in the relationship, eventually they're going to lose respect. And once a woman loses respect for you, she's going to fall out of love with you. And women don't care about what a great guy you are or how many decades you've been together. They care about how they feel about you. And if their feelings are gone, if they no longer feel safe, if they no longer feel like you're the leader, women want to be in a love story. And like in this case, the love story ended basically because he got busy and caught up in his career. And so if you're dating a woman who's a monkey brancher, which is basically they line up the new guy and start talking to the new guy while they're still with the ex, and then when a moment comes when things look sure with the new guy, then they end the relationship with the old guy, and then all of a sudden they're in a relationship with the new guy, and they leave because their feelings are gone at that point. And like I said, you get about 6 to 12 months. And that's typical, because if you're supposed to be the leader, the head of the household, and then all of a sudden you decide that you're going through a rough patch and you want to turn your girlfriend or your wife into your mommy and be depressed and go through a rough patch and not take care of the things that you need to take care of, neglect yourself, neglect your relationship, maybe neglect your relationship with your kids or whatever. Like I said, on average, women will give you 6 to 12 months before they really start losing interest and start looking for the exit or moving in the guest room or asking you to sleep in the guest room. Because the courtship never ends. You have to always date and court your girlfriend or your wife. It's one of the core principles right out of the book. It's just the way it is. I didn't make women this way. If you don't like it, you can complain to the big man upstairs, but I'm just here to give you the lay of the land and tell you the way they are, and then the rest is up to you. Courtship never ends, and a woman's got to feel heard and understood. And like in this case, he's neglecting her. She's complaining. He didn't do anything to change it. Most guys, when they hear that, they rationalize and start arguing about, oh, I just took you on a trip a month ago or when spent all his money on you. But guys, instead of just interpreting and correctly, which just means when a woman starts complaining about these things, just says, hey, take me on a date, basically. But women, like I did a video last week where they kind of speak in hyperbole. It's, you never take me on a date. We never go out. We never do anything. You hear those kind of generalizations. When a guy hears that, he wants to defend himself. I was like, what are you talking about? We just had a really nice dinner 3 weeks ago. Oh, I just took you a bed and breakfast a month ago. And all she hears is, I'm not going to change anything, and I'm not going to continue to date and court you because you're not important to me. And that's what the woman hears. So he's upset. He's like, how do I get over this? He's like, I don't want to get back together with her, but I want there to be a day where she realizes she's totally lost me. And it's like, how do I get from there? Because it doesn't sound like he saw this coming, probably like most guys. He didn't think things were that bad. And then all of a sudden, boom, you're dumped. And then 2 weeks later, she's already dating somebody else and sleeping with that guy. And so that hurts. It burns. And because for us guys, it takes time to get back in the dating world. It gets time. Because women are never out of the game. They're always getting hit on, especially if they're beautiful. Men are always expressing interest. The only difference is when they're in a relationship, they say, hey, I have a boyfriend, or hey, I'm married. But as soon as they're single, it's green light. Boom. They don't have to practice their game. They don't have to do 30 new cold approaches or whatever happens to be to warm back up and get back in that flow again and go on a bunch of dates. It's women just have to say yes. Whereas us guys, we have to practice. We have to put ourselves out there. We got to start talking to strangers. And that means when you start doing that, you're recognizing that the old relationship is actually over. And that's hard to do because in this case, his whole identity is wrapped up in the relationship that he had with the girl. And now all of a sudden he's single again. She's with somebody else and it's just him. And so everything is fresh in his mind. And plus rejection breeds obsession. So he's way more into her now than he was before he got dumped just a few weeks ago. So let's go through his email because, I mean, principles are principles. It's, again, like I said in the beginning of the video, I'm here to tell you the way they are, and it's up to you to decide whether or not you want to proceed with them. So he says, hey, Coach, I'm writing to you from Spain, and I would like to ask your opinion about the jealousy I am feeling about an ex-girlfriend who left me 2 months ago. We were in a relationship for 5 years, and we lived together. She was in love for the first 4 years, and I would say a 9 level of attraction on a scale of 1 to 10, with a little love notes and surprises. He says, the problem, she is a serial monkey brancher. Well, you knew that going into it. And you probably thought, I got this book. He only read it twice, by the way. So that's another part of his problem is he didn't have everything dialed in. He's like, this is great. This is easy. I don't need to read this thing 10 to 15 times. Screw Coach Corey Wayne. I don't listen to that shaved head prick on the internet. She's a serial monkey brancher. She monkey branched with every boyfriend she has been with, and she has never been alone. That's her history. She's going to do that with you when you slack off. That's just the way it is. So depending on character, a woman with good character is going to end the relationship, take time to heal, start dating when she feels ready. But in this case, the monkey brancher typically is insecure, sometimes narcissistic, and she lines up somebody new because she doesn't want to be alone. And that's just the way they are. And so you slack off, the monkey brancher is going to do shit behind your back, whereas a high character woman is going to let you know, she's going to complain, she's going to tell you what needs to change, and if you continue to ignore her or neglect her, then she'll either leave you or serve you with divorce papers and end the relationship there. So it's why character is destiny. But every man slacks off. Everybody gets busy. Everybody gets caught up in life. And like in this case, he was good for the first 4 years of the relationship. And then last year, like I said, you'll see in a second what happened. He says, also, when I met her, she was in a relationship with a guy. But as you suggest, I treated her like everyone else, so I was funny and charming. My intention was simply to have fun, and she quickly felt something was going on and broke up with her old boyfriend. So I don't know what that means. You went on dates with her. You went and had drinks. He didn't really elaborate, but more than likely, he probably hung out with her. And when things looked good, she dipped from the ex and slept with him. So here's his rationalization. He says, I don't feel guilty considering that her ex used to beat her every day. She left him, and the same day, she slept with me. So there's this rational. Obviously, there's no excuse for the dude beating her. That's horrible, and it's good that she left that guy. But the same token, typically women that stay with men like that have self-esteem issues. That's why they monkey branch, because they can't stand the thought of being alone. They gotta have somebody in their life, and they're not. And if they're just going from one emotional connection to another, without using any kind of discerning or being selective in who they date, they end up with guys that abuse them, unfortunately. But you could tell he's like, hey, I'm going to be different. I'm Mr. White Knight. I'm a great dude. I got Corey's book. It's going to be great. The rules don't apply to me. I'll show everybody. For 4 years, we had a beautiful relationship. We both grew a lot. She quickly changed from being arrogant and a liar. There's another red flag. He's like, I can fix this. I can work with this. I'm going to make her honest. To a caring and honest woman. So because she loved him, she changed and submitted to him and became a better woman because he probably set healthy boundaries and she cared about him enough and he displayed enough of the attractive behavior that's taught in my book that to her it was worth it to change for this guy because she was too emotionally invested and didn't want to lose him. So he says, then the last year I worked a lot to build a better future for us. I became complacent and neglected her. If you don't date or court your wife or girlfriend, eventually some other guy will for you. He'll come in and take that job over. She told me several times that we needed to do more, but I was too focused on work. For example, we went out to dinner or with friends only every 2 weeks. Yeah, if you don't have kids, you should be at least having 1 or 2 date nights a week. Women want to be in a love story. They don't want to be with a roommate that, wants to have sex, a couple times a month for a release. And then other than that, they neglect her. No woman's going to stick around indefinitely. Even if you've been together 30, 40 years. It's just the way it is, unfortunately. In summer, she moved back in with her parents in the countryside. She's still a student. So she moved out. So he didn't realize her moving out is her moving away. She's not getting closer to him. She's getting further away. But he probably rationalized that and didn't really change his behavior. He says she lined up a guy who was just a friend to not worry about, who later became my substitute. Well, he became your replacement, actually. Just like you were the replacement for the abusive ex. He says, after 2 months, she broke up with me and told me that this new guy had nothing to do with it. Well, from her perspective, that would actually be true because the reality is you neglected her, you stopped dating and courting her, and from her perspective, you didn't care anymore. It doesn't matter what you said, nothing changed because this went on for a year. The same week, she started dating and sleeping with him. I'm sure that he's not the right person for her, just a rebound. Well, this is what she does to every guy, so you should not be surprised that she does it to you. So if the old relationship ended with you being the guy she monkey branched to, you should not be surprised when you neglected her for a whole year that she monkey branches somebody else. I mean, she moved out. That should have been the red flag, the yellow flag, the warning signals that things were not going well, but probably he was like, oh, I didn't think it was that bad. Because she probably told him, oh, it's just for school. I'm closer to school that way. I want to spend more time with my parents. Probably gave him some logical explanation, and he bought it. Because he wouldn't have to change anything or admit that he was screwing up. He says, I've moved out, and since then I have been in no contact, but I cannot deny that I'm still jealous, and I dream about some kind of revenge. Well, success is the best kind of revenge. The best thing is for her to see you with a hot, younger girl that is better for you, that is honest, that has integrity, that has high character, that's not going to do the things that... Because you basically enabled her behavior. By being the guy that she could monkey branch to, you basically taught her that was okay. So you shouldn't be shocked that karma came for you, because it comes for all of us. I see some people in the comments go, oh, karma, I wish it was a real thing, coach. You don't know what you're talking about. It's like, okay, when you get to be my age, dude, you'll see. I love when some 20-year-old schmuck with no life experience thinks he's going to lecture me on things. I would never go back with her, but the thought that my ex is sleeping with someone else disgusts me and hurts me. Dude, this is who she was when you met her. And I think you're just mad and butthurt that she did it to you. Because you thought you were insulated. You thought the little blue book that you only read twice was going to help you, but you obviously checked out over a year ago, and that's on you. You got to be disciplined. I'm an honest guy, respectful with good values. Integrity is the most important value for me. I dream about the day in which she will beg me to forgive her just to tell her, fuck you. Well, hopefully you won't have to tell her, fuck you. You could just have her see you with your new girl who's all over you and who's prettier than her, because hopefully this time around you'll listen and you'll read the book 10 to 15 times. He says, I'm working on myself and I'm reading your book for the third time. Do you have any advice for me to overcome this jealousy and revenge feeling? The best thing is a new girl. The best thing to do is to shower yourself in the vaginal juices of a new beautiful lady who's younger and hotter and nicer to you. That's the best revenge. Success is the best revenge. But like I was saying earlier, you've been out of the game for 5 years now. All she had to do was say yes to a guy that was obviously already hitting on her. That's the difference between us guys and girls. So you got to get warmed up. I know you don't feel like it, but you need to. Obviously, he's starting to read the book again. So he says, also, I have a clear visualization of all the beautiful trips and memories we made together, but it looks like she moved on with this guy and doesn't give a fuck about anything. Well, typically, women like that, they stay until their feelings are totally gone. Because from her perspective, if I was talking to her, she'd be like, I tried, I complained, I told him, he wouldn't listen. And at some point, like I said, you get about 6 to 12 months. And in this case, well, it sounds like you got about 6 months, and then 6 to 8 months, and then that's when she moved out. And yet she continued to stay with you, but at that point, she's looking for your replacement, and she's given other men the green light. And you didn't see it. You thought you were special, and you found out that you can ignore reality, but you can't ignore the consequences of ignoring reality. So whatever you need to do to put yourself in situations where you are outnumbered and surrounded by beautiful women, you need to go do that, because that will change your attitude. You never know when you're going to turn around and there's an absolute smoke show behind you in the grocery store. And that will change everything. So you have to get out of your house. You can't sit at home and feel sorry for yourself, which is when anybody goes through a breakup, that's what you want to do. You just want to stay home. You don't feel like getting out of bed. You don't have much of an appetite. You're not very excited to go out and do things, but you got to put yourself out there. Go do things socially, the kind of activities that you really love and you really enjoy with other like-minded people, because you will meet like-minded guys you can be friend, and you will meet like-minded girls that you can date. And it's much easier to date people that have similar goals and similar values, hobbies, and interests. It's way easier to talk to them. You connect more. You click more. It'll feel like you've known each other already, and it makes things easy and effortless. He says, I feel that I'm anchored to her, but I know that I should not need her regrets to move forward. You're just trying to make yourself feel better because your whole identity was wrapped up in this relationship, and you obviously didn't think that you were going to get dumped, but it happened. And this is as predictable as the sun coming up in the east and setting in the west. So if you got a question or a challenge, or you'd like to get my help, go to understandingrelationships.com, click the products tab at the top of your screen, and book a coaching session with yours truly. Until next time, I will talk to you soon.